Hi everyone, I'm Mims and welcome to my channel. So I have a little unboxing or unwrapping, I guess, and I was super excited about this deck and I just wanted to share. So just got the mail, and coincidentally I actually ordered this back in, it was a pre-order, so it took a while, but it happened to come on my birthday. This is the Illuminated deck of the Holy Souls. Couple quick things. There is some laundry noise in the background and there's a fan going because it's really hot today. This deck I was super excited about. Lindsay has mentioned, so she's the creator of the Desert Illuminations Tarot, which was an indie deck, and I think it maybe came out multiple times as an indie deck, and then it was just picked up, I think at the end of 24 they published it, or sometime in early 25, the tarot deck published by US Games. And then she also had an independent, I think it was called Desert Illuminations Oracle. That one is out of print, so I don't know. And then she had this deck. So this is a 78 card deck, but it's not a tarot deck. And anyway, I just wanted to show it. She is a New Mexico artist, and I love her work. I've never mentioned this personal detail, but I'm going to. I grew up in New Mexico, and so it's kind of the place for me. It feels different than anywhere else on earth, and I don't think I'm just saying that because I lived there growing up, and then I also lived there for some years as an adult. Anyway, it's just a special place, and I feel like her art really captures that. I don't even know, I know she lives in New Mexico, and I just felt like there was a reason that this spoke to me. So anyway, she's published this a couple different times in a print run. And she mentioned back in the spring that it was going to be the last time she offered this for sale. So back in April there was a pre-sale, and I missed that deadline because I think it was like at the end of April of 2025. And then a few days later, a couple of weeks later, she mentioned that she still had, there might have been a pause because they weren't sure about tariffs. I'm not exactly sure, but she extended the deadline, and that extension of the deadline was enough for me to just go ahead and decide to get it. So I went ahead and pre-ordered, and then it just came. And like I said, from what I understand, this is the last time she is going to publish this, although she is doing a French version of this, and I think otherwise it's the same, but it's going to have French things. I follow her on Instagram, and there was something about, and I thought I'm good with this one. I don't speak French at all, although that would be fun, and if I hadn't gotten to that, I might have been intrigued by the French one just to get something. Anyway, there have been a couple of things that she said where she kind of mentioned that she's sort of moving away from tarot and oracle creations, and so it definitely was enough for me to go ahead and get this deck, and I'm super excited about it. This is, and we'll just see. So the Illuminated deck of Holy Souls, and it comes with a really brief, but still a little guidebook. So this mentions Holy Souls and their attributes, and so like Saint Michael, soldiers, military, the sick, protection from evil and harm. I was interested in this. I grew up in New Mexico, and I've joked in the past, and it's probably not a great joke, but I've joked in the past that in New Mexico you could probably be Catholic just in the air. The history of a lot, and you know, there's also controversy in some of that too, obviously, but there were lots and lots of Spanish settlements and lots of Catholic churches. And so I grew up in northern New Mexico, where there's definitely a lot of Catholic churches, and you know, like growing up and going to Catholic weddings and Catholic funerals and all of that. And I also love, and I know, again, I'm not trying to get into the religion of it, But I always loved the Catholic idea of having different saints for different causes. It always felt to me like a neat way, you know, when you need a little extra help in terms of forgiveness, or in terms of gardening, or selling your house, or blessing your animals, or whatever, that there's a saint for that. And I kind of loved that idea of these little helpers. And so this deck is a bunch of saints, and I was just interested in it. I also loved it for the artwork, the Southwest aspect, and the fact that it was going to be her last deck. Or at least as far as I know, more than likely her last deck. So these are the backs, and they're just really pretty. And I also thought, I've talked a little bit about, and I'm not going to get too much into that today, but I was just interested in this all around. So this is like, I would say, typical kind of tarot size. And then she also included in this pre-order, I don't know if that's in all of them, I think maybe because there was a delay, that might be why this was included, I'm not sure, but let's take a look. She did include this little charm, the heart, and it says, "May divine abundance flow through me." That's cute. So let's just take a look. We'll just do a quick flip through. And did I get these out of order? Okay. Yeah, we'll just do a really quick flip through. So what I love about these cards is they give you the saint on them, or the figure, and then just a couple of keywords, you know, just a little bit about them. I just love those colors, and I love that. I love her artwork. So yeah, I think there's 78. I'm pretty sure there's 78 of them. Because in fact, it took me a little minute before I ordered it to realize that it wasn't a tarot, but I still remember, because I think originally I was thinking that this was a tarot deck, not having looked at it more closely. And then I looked at it and I was still like, oh yeah, I still want it. And I think this definitely, if you're thinking about pairing, although again, I'm pretty sure this is now out of print, but if you have this deck, some obvious ones would be her Desert Illuminations tarot. I think this would also go quite well with the biblical tarot Shadows of the Soul. That's a black and white one. So if you want something kind of in that realm, these bright colors might go, oh, I should have reached for that. I just remember thinking, yeah. And I know people have different opinions about, you know, religious sorts of things. And I get why a lot of people feel scarred by Christianity in general, and maybe even Catholicism more specifically. But these feel to me like familiar friends, even though I didn't grow up Catholic. I like I think it will be fun just to get to know them. And I also think that when you consider like the energy behind something, I love that. You know, over the years, as people, put energy into something, it takes on that meaning. I think in some ways, in the same way that tarot has evolved and changed over time, but there is an historic energy of all of the people who loved tarot, and I know this is not tarot, but like specifically just in that realm of when something takes on the energy that it's been attributed to. And I kind of love that thought. And I kind of love the idea of these saints as just being like another set of ways to consider that energy, whether it's forgiveness or, whatever it might be. Apparently I need to think about forgiveness because I think I've said forgiveness more than once. Anyway, I just love this artwork. And I think it will be fun to pull a card when I feel like I need a little protection, or when I maybe do want to focus on a particular theme. And also, I am working through I'm doing some shadow work and some stuff with a biblical tarot, and I'm also just doing some personal kind of religious studies to consider, maybe to heal some stuff from my childhood, and to consider where that all fits in my current life and future life. And either way, I still love the, I love thinking about these as like benign but helpful presence. I do like thinking of it in that regard. And so I think that this will be, again, fun is maybe not the right word, but I do like the idea of kind of working with this, both in terms of the energy and then thinking about a theme that some of these saints represent. And, particularly when I feel like maybe I need that particular like guidance or that energy. It's also just beautiful artwork. And that was another reason that I was excited to order and get this. And she mentioned wanting to move on to different kinds of art and to do some other things. And so I just felt like, okay, this is the chance then to get this deck and yeah. So it's got I love the kind of the black on the back and then this gold, the gilding. It feels very shuffleable. I need to learn more about, it definitely bounces back, and but it feels light and flexible. So let's just pull one and we'll see what the guidebook says. Oh, one just popped out. We got St. Paula Frazinetti. Let's see. This is for education, teachers, children, and Sisters of St. Dorothy. Well, I am an online teacher, so I'm going to take it at that. And I am considering some possible education adventures coming up. So that felt perfect. So anyway, I am so excited to get this. This is the Illuminated Deck of Holy Souls by Lindsay D'Amore Williams. And I just love her artwork. I love what she does. And I felt very excited and fortunate. I had a little bonus and I was able to get this right when she was saying that it was going to be the last print of this deck. So yeah, super excited. Anyway, curious if you have ever worked with this deck, Do you ever look at saints as maybe like, you know, like a little, maybe in the way that sometimes people look at angels, you know, just as that like little helpful thing? Curious if you've ever worked with saints, whether you enjoy them just from the cultural perspective, or you really look on them for guidance, or even just as an extra maybe layer in either shadow work, or even just with, you know, tarot or something. I'm just curious. I would love to hear what you think. What do you think of this artwork? Have you ever been to New Mexico? Do you have any of her other decks? I would love to hear. So thanks for being here. I hope you're doing well. I hope you are taking care of yourself. I hope you're finding joy. I hope you're finding a way to take care of yourself and ways to take care of others. And I hope to see you in another video. Take care. Thank you.